I want to ride you. I definitely want to ride you. And I really want to ride you. Can you do an adventure ride with an electric motorcycle, especially a dual sport? I don't know. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it on the Rant and Ride.
Look what happened. I woke up in a big old pile of money. Hey, all you KTM guys, come on. I'm Team Warren. Don't think I'm coming down on you. I, on the other hand, and you on the other hand, and a lot of people on the other hand, so why don't we have a 450? As a competitor to a lot of ice.
But here's my thinking.
Hello, guys, gals, everybody. It's Friday. It's a good day because it's not a rainy day. It is not raining, but I tell you what, it's coming back. They keep telling me it's coming back tomorrow. So anyway, intro, electric dual sport motorcycles. Anybody have any experience on one? Anybody ever ridden one? Anybody own one? Kind of interesting. Basically, we're talking about dual sport electric motorcycles, and can you do any type of adventurous trip or anything other than just getting on it and riding for 2 or 3 hours and get off the bike and then go plug it in? And I know what everybody's thinking right now. They're like, okay, all right, 690. Why would you even do video on electric motorcycles? For instance, Zero and Alta. Those seem to be the two ones. And KTM got into the game a little bit with the Enduro style. And what it is, this is a fun rant. This is a fun rant. And it kind of, hopefully I'm going to get participation from everybody because they are out there. They are working on trying to make them better. And I think my thing is the answer to the title is no. I don't truly think you could you could actually do a moto trip on an electric motorcycle, or can you? What do you guys think? If you were gonna try to achieve a moto trip on an electric dual sport, how in the heck could you do it? Here's my understanding from what I have learned from these electric motorcycles and these companies. They have battery banks in them. Some of them are better than others. I know that Red Shift from Alta, that's the new one. It's really cool looking. It's super light. I think it's like 50 horsepower. Plenty, it weighs like 270 pounds or something like that. So it's pretty light. It's not heavy by any stretch of the imagination. It's got plenty of power. And then you got the Innovator, the one that really kind of got it started and then they made the big name for. That's Zero. They got the DS and the DSR. And there's a little bit of difference between the two. Not a bunch, but there is a little bit more. And those things are pushing 70 horsepower on a 200 and I think, 70-pound bike? So that's pretty good, right? And I think that they say that these motorcycles will get somewhere around 3 to 4 hours or about 100 miles or a little less. I guess it depends on how hard you're pushing the battery. But is that enough? Is that enough? If you were, just say, hypothetically, getting one of these bikes, could you make it happen with a 75 to 100 mile range? Now, would you do it? I wouldn't. But this is just a fun rant. And that's what these are. These are ranting and writings. I get guys that come on and make comments. Get to the point. You're talking too much. Did you happen to catch the title? This is a rant and ride. That means I'm going to talk and I'm going to ride while I talk. That's the way it works. But anyway, if you were hypothetically going to try to do something on one of these motorcycles, how would you do it? Here's my thinking on these bikes, okay? They're basically all enduro bikes, every one of them. They're all enduro. They are electric. Let's just say that they're probably going to be somewhere around that 70-mile to 100-mile range on a charge. And I think they say that they've got semi-quick charge, and you can plug them into 110 or 220, and I think the 220 is the quick charge. But here's my thinking on that. Let's just say that you only had 110. Now, what would it do to that battery pack putting gear on the back? Say, maybe light pack, all right? Just light pack. We're talking a 2-3 day little mini adventure, getting out and, you know, trying to hit some dirt. But then also you've got to charge that thing at night. So here's my thinking. What if you could strategically plan a route that had dirt and a little bit of street, but you end up at a campsite, like a state park or something like that, with an electrical hookup, and you charge that thing at night while you're camping, doing all your stuff, and I love that 690 power. It's insane. And you plug it in while you're camping. And I think they say it takes anywhere from 1.5 to 3 hours, or for every hour you charge it, you get like 40 miles or something in range. Could you actually make a moto adventure doing that? I mean, could you actually do that? You know? I mean, I wouldn't do that, but if you were going to do it, how would you do it? Let's just say that was your only option to have an electric motorcycle, say a Zero, or, you know, that Alta bike, or even say the KTM. I think it's the 250 SX FX or something like that. I'm not real sure. I'll put everything up on the screen on what these bikes are, and they're real cool. The downside of these bikes, man, they're expensive. You know, they're 10 grand, 11 grand. They're not real cheap. And I think they're more for just your local commuting, you know, riding around your house, hitting some local trail, doing that type of stuff, just tooting and having a really good time on that bike. I don't really think you could do an adventure on it. But if you were going to do an adventure, how would you do it? And that's the thing, because you really are going to have to dig in and go, okay, this is how I do it. And the cool thing is there's a lot of you guys out there that are fantastic at putting up really cool stuff, and I'm learning a lot, and I know a lot, but I'm also learning a lot from you guys too. How would you do it? How would you do it? Because, you know what, there's probably some riders out there that got these bikes, and now they're kind of in them in a high payment, and they want to go do it. Or maybe they got it, and they're doing it, and they can tell us how they're doing it. Because I think it would be interesting to try to figure out how you could actually make that work so that you could charge the bike. Get out, go do a small adventure, and have some fun on one of those bikes. Because I tell you what, man, they're cool. They're super torquey, man. They're instant response. Doesn't matter what you do. Highs, lows, mids, it makes no difference. Those bikes are gonna just basically, that throttle, whatever you're thinking, it's gonna happen. And that's really neat, because you need that. When you need power and you pull the throttle and it's not there, everybody that's been riding a long time knows what that's like. It sucks. It's not fun. It's usually the difference between making something and epic failure and going down or dumping your bike. But on these electric bikes, the Zeros, the Altas, the KTM, which I don't even know if you could even buy a KTM. I know that they got on board doing it. And it's really an enduro. It's not street, but think about it. You don't have to worry about emissions. It's electric. So I think it'd be quite easy to put that bike and get it street legal with like a Baja kit or something like that. But anyway, if you were going to do something like that, what would you do? How would you do it? And it's got to be legit, man. Legit. Think about it. If you were going to engineer a way to make a trip out of one of those bikes, how would you do it? Most of these bikes have 21-inch front, 18-inch rear tires. They're between 50 and 70 horsepower, so they've got plenty of horsepower. They've definitely got the tires to do the off-road stuff. They're not going to be buzzy. They're electric. I mean, they should be smooth as glass, like riding a sewing machine, like a Singer, you know? I don't know how the seats are, But I mean, you know, like anything, you know, if you can get your mind wrapped around it, you can make it happen. But it shouldn't be too bad as far as fatigue or anything like that. And you know they got to be fun to ride. They got to be. They just got to be. What would you do? How would you do it? What area would you go to? Would you do west? Would you do central? Would you do eastern? What type of terrain and area would you put that bike in to best suit it so that you could actually get that thing to where you could charge it? Because you know you're going to have to be somewhere in that 50 to, I'm going to say 100 miles. I guess depends on how hard you hit it. And what is the luggage going to do to that bike? What's the luggage going to do to that battery on that bike? And how hard can you push it? And if you own one of these bikes, I want to know about it because I don't really know enough about these bikes. But God, they just, you know, ever since Zero's been going, I have just been fascinated with that bike. Just fascinated with that motorcycle. It's just so cool. And it is electric. And it doesn't take super long. I think 3-4 hours to get a full charge. But I just think it's neat that, you know, guys are getting outside of the box and they're just engineering really cool stuff. But honestly, I don't think you could do, I just don't think you could do an adventure trip on it. I don't see it. And I just, you know, I'm trying to put my head around it. And my thoughts are, you know, sometimes you're just, man, you could be between an area that you could charge. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to pop into a grocery store and say, hey, man, you mind if I plug in? I don't think they're going to go for that, you know, but they might. And maybe eventually, like Tesla and stuff like that, they'll have plug-in stations where you can do it. Or can you plug those bikes into those types of charging stations that they have? But they're mainly in the cities and stuff. So if you were out in the sticks, I'm not real sure that that's going to work. You know, but hey, I've been proven wrong in many of my videos from you guys, and I probably will get proved wrong on this video as well. But I do think the electric bikes are cool, and I think it's neat that they're getting out and they're coming up, and I've always wanted to talk about it. And like I said, I don't know enough about them, but I'm sure there's somebody out there in the millions of all you YouTubers that you can give some pretty cool, credible information. And if you own one, what do you use it for? What do you use it for? And what's the true, I'm not going off of a spec, man. I want a real guy that rides that sucker to tell me what that bike is capable of, how long the battery lasts, and could you actually take it out and do a moto camping trip, and if it would actually work. And I'm going to say I just don't see it happening. But I could definitely see that being a local commute bike, checking out, going around the city, doing things like that, and making sure that you could plan your route to make sure you get home before you run out of juice. But I just don't know if the adventure, and I know that they're talking about trying to make an adventure bike out of, you know, a battery powered type deal. I just don't think we're there yet. How come we're in 2018, we have hybrid cars? Why has nobody come up with a hybrid bike? Put a small CC 2-stroke engine, or even a 4-stroke engine, to just kind of keep that battery and extend that range a little bit and make it, you know, a little more lengthy in between those charge times. But I don't know. You never know. The future is upon us, and we will see what happens, and we'll just go from there. But anyway, my name's Joe, 690ADV, 690 Garage, 690ADV.com. I appreciate your time. It's valuable, and I know this was kind of an out there kind of rant, but it was out there for a reason, because I just need some information on these electric bikes, because I just think they're cool. And I don't know. I just think it's pretty awesome. And I think that it's cool that they're making them. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think? She said I just stole my bike like a dork. Anyway, like I said, I appreciate your time. Appreciate all the comments, everything that you do for the channel. And we've got a good rant coming up next week. Got a real good one. I've been really putting it together, and I think you're really going to like it. And it's going to be some super, really cool stuff. And I think you're going to enjoy it. But anyway, I appreciate your time. You guys have a great weekend. And thanks so much for tuning in. 690 out.